The crisp autumn air of 1945 carried an unusual tension over the dense forests and misty hills of southwestern Poland. The war had almost ended, yet its final echoes lingered like shadows, hiding secrets that even the victors could not yet uncover. Among these secrets, whispered among locals and scavengers alike, was a tale so extraordinary it seemed impossible. A heavily armored Nazi train, laden with unimaginable treasures, had vanished somewhere near the Ural Mountains, leaving behind nothing but mystery and speculation. This train, the so-called lost Nazi gold train, was said to carry not only gold but priceless jewels, artworks, and even artifacts looted from occupied nations, including items of historical and cultural significance that could change the course of wealth and memory if found. Stories suggested that it had departed from Breslau, now Wrocław, under the cover of night, escorted by armed troops, its path carefully chosen to avoid the advancing Red Army, yet it never reached its intended destination. Locals claim to have seen the train enter a tunnel near Cassius Castle, a medieval fortress perched high on a hill, surrounded by a complex network of caves and mines, some man-made and some natural. The castle itself had been commandeered by the Nazis as part of the massive Project WWII, a construction effort that left labyrinthine tunnels carved into the Ural Mountains. For years, rumors swirled that these tunnels and the abandoned mines concealed treasures, secret bunkers, and, most tantalizingly, a train brimming with gold. The very idea seemed impossible, yet the stories persisted, passed down through hushed conversations, newspaper clippings, and the memories of those who had glimpsed armored soldiers moving with purpose through the mountains. The train's disappearance became more than a wartime mystery, it became a legend. Over decades, treasure hunters, historians, and adventurers were drawn to the region, compelled by the idea that history's greatest secrets could lie hidden beneath layers of earth and rock, waiting for the right eyes to discover them. Even during the Cold War, when the Polish army investigated the claims, the terrain proved too difficult, the trails too obscure, and no tangible evidence ever surfaced. Yet the legend refused to die. Children grew up hearing about the train, imagining tunnels filled with glittering coins, the gleam of gold reflected in their wide eyes, and entire families dreamed of finding wealth that had once belonged to the Third Reich. In 2015, the legend flared to life once more. Two men, Piotr Koper and Andreas Richter, claimed to have found the train using ground-penetrating radar, detecting a long, metallic object buried beneath a hillside near Wałbrzych. The excitement was immediate, drawing media attention and mobilizing authorities to investigate. Excavations were planned, and for a brief moment, it seemed that the myth might transform into reality. Locals flocked to the site, and stories resurfaced about tunnels, hidden compartments, and the very real possibility that the wealth of a vanquished empire lay just beneath their feet. Yet as the digging progressed, the hope turned to disappointment. The anomaly detected by the radar was identified as a natural geological formation, not a buried train. Still, the fervor it inspired left an indelible mark, reigniting interest in the mystery and reminding the world that some secrets, no matter how long forgotten, refuse to remain silent. The story of the train is entwined with the desperate final months of the Nazi regime, a period of frantic retreats, hasty evacuations, and meticulous efforts to protect what they considered the Reich's most valuable assets. Historians suggest that as the Third Reich crumbled, trains became a preferred method of moving wealth, their armored cars offering both protection and mobility. The lost Nazi gold train was said to have carried not just currency and bullion but rare artifacts, artworks, and cultural treasures, each item representing the spoils of a war built on conquest. The disappearance of the train has fueled countless theories, from secret German engineering projects to hidden networks of collaborators waiting to retrieve the lost riches, and even whispers that the treasures were recovered in secrecy, never to be revealed to the public. Beyond the promise of wealth, the legend carries a haunting allure. The Owl Mountains, shrouded in fog and forest, seem to breathe mystery into every step. The tunnels and abandoned mines, some carved to immense scale, hint at human ingenuity turned toward secrecy and protection. Explorers recount feeling an eerie presence, as if the very walls of the mountains remembered the soldiers who once hid there, the planners who directed the train's route, and the wealth that passed through the dark passages before disappearing into obscurity. Each rock, each narrow shaft, each forgotten passage has become a character in the story, silent witnesses to one of history's most intriguing mysteries. Even without proof, the lost Nazi gold train has seeped into popular imagination, becoming the subject of documentaries, books, and local folklore. The story is more than the possibility of gold, it is about the enduring human fascination with hidden secrets, the thrill of discovery, and the interplay of history and myth. Treasure hunters, scholars, and enthusiasts debate endlessly, did the train truly exist, or is it the ultimate hoax of war, a legend born from desperation and rumor? Yet for those who venture into the mountains, armed with maps, metal detectors, and an unwavering belief in the possibility of discovery, the question seems less important than the journey itself. Stories of similar vanished treasures pepper history, but the Nazi gold train resonates uniquely. It represents the intersection of historical fact, human greed, ingenuity, and imagination. The meticulous planning of the Nazis, the strategic retreats, the abandoned mines and tunnels all form a backdrop against which the legend thrives. Over the decades, fragments of documentation, eyewitness accounts, and hearsay have kept the narrative alive, though no single source provides definitive proof. This ambiguity fuels the mystery, allowing it to evolve with each retelling and capture the minds of those who dare to dream of hidden fortune. In the villages surrounding the Owl Mountains, the legend is a living thing. Older residents speak of shadowy figures, German officers hurrying to and fro, and trains moving under cover of night. Children are taught stories of hidden tunnels, lost fortunes, and the dangers of greed. Even without modern treasure hunters, the aura of mystery suffuses the area. Every stormy night, when the wind rattles old shutters and trees sway like restless sentinels, it is easy to imagine a long train, armored and silent, buried beneath layers of earth, waiting patiently for discovery. Whether the train was ever real or merely a product of wartime desperation and rumor may never be known. What remains indisputable is its impact. It has inspired generations to explore, to research, and to dream. It has connected historians, adventurers, and locals in a shared fascination with the hidden corners of human history. And above all, it reminds us that some mysteries, no matter how carefully concealed or how long forgotten, have a power that transcends mere material wealth, resonating through the imagination and the desire to uncover what has been lost. The lost Nazi gold train continues to captivate because it is more than a legend, it is a journey into the unknown, a story of ambition, secrecy, and the human hunger for discovery. It is a reminder that history is never fully written and that some truths, buried beneath mountains and shrouded in fog, may remain elusive forever. For those willing to seek it, the mountains whisper promises of adventure, challenge, and perhaps, one day, revelation. And so, the hunt begins anew, with each step into the Owl Mountains bringing the possibility of uncovering the unimaginable, yet leaving the world suspended in anticipation, forever chasing a train that may have never existed at all. The forests of the Owl Mountains held their secrets tightly, yet the whispers of hidden tunnels and concealed riches had grown louder after decades of silence. By 1945, the region was a maze of abandoned mines, unfinished bunkers, and clandestine constructions, many of which had been hastily abandoned in the chaos of the Nazi retreat. Among these, the Cassius Castle complex stood as the centerpiece of fortress that had been transformed into a labyrinthine hub for Project WWII, a secretive and ambitious Nazi engineering operation. Rumors suggested that beneath its stone walls stretched a network of tunnels, some vast enough to house armored trains, others so narrow they required crawling on hands and knees to traverse. These passages were not only architectural marvels but also vaults, capable of concealing treasures the Nazis deemed too valuable to risk moving by ordinary means. The story of the lost Nazi gold train intertwined deeply with this clandestine network. Some accounts claimed that the train had been rerouted from its original course to these tunnels, where it would remain hidden indefinitely. The rationale was simple: as the Third Reich faced imminent collapse, every measure was taken to safeguard its accumulated wealth. Gold, currency, artworks, and historical artifacts, each item represented more than material value. It symbolized power, prestige, and the illusion of permanence in a crumbling empire. And yet, despite the meticulous planning, no one could definitively confirm the train's presence. The only evidence was fragmented reports from locals who had glimpsed armored cars moving into tunnels under the cover of darkness, soldiers guarding the entrances, and faint metallic echoes in the otherwise silent mountains. Decades later, explorers and historians pieced together these accounts to form a tentative map of the rumored network. They studied wartime documents, some captured by the Allies, others discovered in hidden archives, hoping to trace the path of the train. Each clue hinted at deliberate concealment: tunnels sealed with concrete, entrances camouflaged with earth and foliage, and ventilation shafts disguised as natural formations. Every expedition that entered the tunnels faced the same challenges: narrow passages, crumbling walls, and the ever-present risk of collapse. Yet these difficulties only added to the allure, turning the search into a perilous adventure as much as an academic pursuit. Local legends amplified the mystery. Villagers spoke of sounds in the mountains long after the war's end: echoes of rails, the hum of machinery, and occasional glimmers of light seen through cracks in sealed tunnels. Some recounted stories passed down from their parents, who had observed the German soldiers' frantic efforts to move gold and valuables into hidden compartments. These tales often included dramatic elements: the train disappearing into the darkness during a violent snowstorm, officers arguing over how to secure the cargo, and even whispers of sabotage intended to prevent the Allies or Soviets from seizing the wealth. Whether fact or fiction, such stories kept the legend alive, bridging generations and maintaining the aura of suspense. In the 21st century, the search took on a modern dimension. Ground-penetrating radar, metal detectors, and satellite imaging became tools in the quest for the elusive train. Experts analyzed the terrain, looking for irregularities in the hills and valleys that might indicate buried structures. Amateur treasure hunters scoured local maps, comparing old wartime records with contemporary topography, hoping to pinpoint the train's location. Every anomaly detected sparked excitement, yet most led to dead ends: boulders, tree roots, and natural rock formations were often mistaken for tunnels or buried vehicles. Despite repeated disappointments, the belief in the train's existence persisted, fueled by the tantalizing possibility of a reward beyond imagination. The psychological dimension of the hunt was equally compelling. For some, it was the promise of wealth; for others, a fascination with history and the thrill of discovery. The mountains themselves became characters in the narrative, shaping each expedition with their unforgiving terrain, unpredictable weather, and hidden dangers. Those who dared enter the tunnels often described an uncanny feeling, as if the shadows of the past lingered in every corridor, every crevice. Some reported finding remnants of wartime activity: rusted equipment, discarded supplies, and faint markings on tunnel walls, but never the train itself. These fragments were tantalizing, hints of a grander reality that remained just out of reach. Meanwhile, historians debated the plausibility of the train's existence. Some argued that logistical constraints made it unlikely that a train could have been hidden underground, given the engineering challenges and time pressures faced by the retreating German forces. Others noted that the Nazis were adept at secrecy and had constructed large-scale underground facilities for military purposes, making the concealment of an armored train theoretically possible. The debate itself added to the legend, drawing attention from academics, documentary filmmakers, and enthusiasts worldwide. Conferences and publications explored the story, examining archival photographs, railway timetables, and wartime orders, each analysis contributing to the collective puzzle. The local economy also became intertwined with the myth. Guided tours, themed exhibits, and souvenir shops capitalized on the allure of the lost Nazi gold train, offering visitors a glimpse into the mountain's mysterious past. Even though no concrete evidence had ever been found, the legend transformed the region into a cultural and historical landmark. Schools incorporated the tale into lessons on local history, emphasizing critical thinking and the interplay between fact and myth. The story became both educational and entertaining, allowing communities to celebrate their heritage while keeping alive the excitement of a hidden treasure. For adventurers, the search was never purely about gold, it was about engaging with history firsthand. The tunnels represented a tangible connection to the past, a chance to walk the paths once trodden by soldiers and engineers, to encounter the ingenuity and desperation of a regime on the brink of collapse. Each step within the underground passages, each sound echoing off stone walls, each flicker of light reflected on damp surfaces, brought participants closer to understanding the magnitude of what had occurred. And yet, the train remained elusive, a symbol of the mysteries that history can withhold, challenging explorers to continue seeking answers even when success seems improbable. The allure of the lost Nazi gold train endures because it transcends material wealth. It embodies the intersection of human ambition, secrecy, and the relentless pursuit of discovery. It reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming chaos, meticulous planning and determination can leave traces that echo through time. It suggests that history is rarely simple, that legends are born from fragments of truth amplified by imagination, and that some mysteries, whether real or imagined, continue to inspire generations to explore, question, and dream. As the sun set over the Ural Mountains, casting long shadows through the valleys and forests, one could almost imagine the train still lying hidden, waiting beneath layers of earth, sealed tunnels, and decades of speculation. Whether it contained gold, art, or simply the remnants of human ambition, the legend of the lost Nazi gold train would endure, drawing seekers to the mountains, fueling imaginations, and keeping alive a story that refuses to be forgotten. The search, it seemed, was as much about understanding human history and ingenuity as it was about uncovering treasure. Each expedition, each study, each whispered tale contributed to a living narrative, ensuring that the mystery remained vibrant and compelling for those willing to venture into the unknown. As the years passed, the legend of the lost Nazi gold train became more than a tale of wealth. It transformed into a symbol of human curiosity, persistence, and the intricate interplay between history and myth. By the mid-2020s, expeditions had grown increasingly sophisticated, combining archival research, satellite imagery, and advanced scanning technologies. Despite these modern tools, the mountains continued to guard their secrets fiercely. Tunnels collapsed, signals misled, and weather interfered with attempts to locate the train, as if nature itself conspired to keep the past buried. Yet, every failed expedition added new layers to the story, creating a mosaic of possibilities and preserving the allure of the unknown. Some historians began to question whether the train had ever existed in the form described by legend. Wartime chaos had led to fragmented records and inconsistent reports. Some believed the valuables were moved piecemeal, hidden in smaller caches across Poland or even transported into Germany, never to return. Others insisted that the train had been real and intact, its existence obscured deliberately by the Nazis to safeguard their final assets. The uncertainty was part of the legend's power. Unlike other historical mysteries that were eventually resolved, the lost Nazi gold train thrived on ambiguity, challenging each generation to piece together clues from shadows of the past. In villages surrounding the Owl Mountains, the story remained alive in conversations, folklore, and even festivals celebrating the region's history. Locals who had grown up hearing whispers of trains disappearing into tunnels now shared their memories with tourists and researchers. Children learned to distinguish between fact, speculation, and myth, understanding that the past was often layered and complex. Oral histories, combined with physical remnants of wartime activity, abandoned bunkers, rusted rails, and partially sealed shafts ensured that the legend persisted not as a simple fairy tale, but as a multidimensional narrative connecting people to a turbulent time in human history. Meanwhile, treasure hunters continued to venture into the mountains, each guided by a mix of ambition, hope, and scholarly curiosity. Excavations revealed fragments of the past, shards of metal, decayed wooden supports, and cryptic markings left by engineers decades earlier. These discoveries, while falling short of the legendary treasure, offered invaluable insights into the logistics, planning, and desperation of Nazi operations. Every exploration brought a deeper understanding of the immense scale of Project WWII and the lengths to which the Third Reich went to protect its wealth in the final days of the war. The psychological grip of the legend was profound. Explorers spoke of a feeling that the mountains themselves were sentient, resisting intrusion while offering fleeting glimpses of what might lie beneath. Reports described sudden drafts in sealed tunnels, strange echoes, and faint metallic reflections, phenomena that fueled speculation while reinforcing the sense of mystery. For many, the journey into the Owl Mountains became less about monetary reward and more about confronting history firsthand, navigating the delicate boundary between reality and imagination, past and present. The lost Nazi gold train also inspired creative works worldwide. Documentaries, novels, and films explored the train's story, blending historical research with imaginative reconstruction. In some portrayals, the train became a metaphor for the elusive nature of truth, illustrating how memory, secrecy, and ambition intertwine. Artistic interpretations emphasized human resilience and the drive to uncover what is hidden, demonstrating that the allure of mystery transcends generations and geography. The train's legend became a cultural touchstone, a reminder that history is not just a series of events but a living narrative shaped by perception, investigation, and storytelling. One of the most striking aspects of the ongoing quest was the collaboration it fostered. Scholars, local guides, engineers, and amateur historians often worked together, combining diverse expertise to explore the mountains and analyze data. Each expedition became a blend of science, intuition, and daring, reflecting the multifaceted challenges faced by those who had once built the tunnels and possibly hidden the train. Despite the dangers, unstable ground, hidden shafts, and unpredictable weather, the teams persisted, driven by curiosity and the possibility that history might yet reveal a hidden chapter long obscured by time. Even as modern investigations unfolded, some mysteries remained unsolved. Debates continued over the train's exact route, the quantity of valuables, and whether it had been moved or remained buried. Conflicting eyewitness accounts and incomplete records made definitive answers elusive. Yet, the uncertainty itself became part of the narrative's charm, encouraging exploration, critical thinking, and imagination. The train's story was no longer just about gold, it was about understanding human ambition, the complexity of war, and the persistence of mystery in shaping our perception of history. In reflecting on the legend, one could see that the lost Nazi gold train was as much a symbol of human ingenuity as it was of human folly. It embodied the extremes of secrecy and ambition, illustrating how a regime on the brink of collapse attempted to preserve its wealth and legacy. At the same time, it highlighted the timeless nature of curiosity and discovery. People from all walks of life, across decades and continents, were drawn to the mountains in search of answers, each contributing to a living history that remained open-ended. The train's story reminded us that history is rarely neat or conclusive, it is a tapestry woven from evidence, interpretation, and imagination, where even the missing pieces hold meaning. Ultimately, the lost Nazi gold train exists not merely as a physical entity, but as a narrative that transcends time. Its rails, whether buried, disassembled, or imagined, continue to guide seekers through history, mystery, and the human drive to uncover the unknown. For every failed excavation, every misleading signal, and every unverified claim, the story grows richer, embedding itself in culture, scholarship, and collective memory. The mountains may conceal their secret, yet they also reveal the enduring power of legend, to inspire, to challenge, and to remind us that some mysteries, no matter how elusive, are eternal. As twilight settled over the Owl Mountains, mist weaving through forests and valleys, one could almost picture the train lying dormant beneath layers of earth, its metallic frame glinting faintly in the darkness. Whether it held gold, art, or simply the echoes of human ambition, its legend continued to captivate hearts and minds. The lost Nazi gold train was no longer just a pursuit of treasure, it had become a testament to history's depth, humanity's curiosity, and the enduring allure of the unknown, a story destined to inspire generations long after the last tunnel had been explored, and the final clue examined.